The air inside the UWS Horizon's negotiation chamber was thick with tension. Captain Leora Vex straightened her jacket, the stiff fabric a poor shield against the piercing gazes of the Arcturian delegation. Across the table, Commander Dravik Sol sat motionless, his crimson skin shimmering under the artificial lights, the silver flecks along his temples pulsing faintly, a sign of agitation, if the xenopsych profiles were accurate. "Your proposed border adjustments are unacceptable," Dravik said, his voice a deep, resonant hum. His four-fingered hands rested on the table, claws retracted but still visible. "The Kiri's belt has been Arcturian territory for 7 generations." Leora resisted the urge to rub her temples. 3 days of circular arguments had drained her patience. "Commander, the belt's resources could sustain human colonies for decades. Surely a shared. Subcommander Silas Vex, Dravik's sharp-tongued second, hissed. His amber eyes narrowed. "Your people mine worlds to husks. We've seen the reports." A muscle in Leora's jaw twitched. "Stay calm." She reached for her water, but Dravik surprised her by sliding a small, iridescent cube across the table. "Try this," he said. The human delegation stiffened. Lieutenant Jaren Kess, her tech specialist, leaned forward. "Captain, scans indicate organic matter. Unknown composition." Dravik's lips curled, not quite a smile, but something close. "It's Velthor. A delicacy." Leora hesitated. Protocols screamed don't consume alien substances, but diplomacy sometimes required leaps of faith. She picked it up. The cube was cool, gelatinous. The moment it touched her tongue, her senses exploded. Sweet, then spicy, then, like starlight given flavor, effervescent and rich. She gasped. "This is incredible." Dravik's silver flecks brightened. "You taste the Velthor's true notes. Most humans can't." Silas looked murderous. "Commander, this is cultural exchange," Dravik interrupted, still watching Leora. "Perhaps we've focused too much on division." Later, in her quarters, Jaren scolded her. "That could have been poisoned." Leora licked her lips, the aftertaste still lingering. "It wasn't." "And did you see his reaction?" "He was testing me." Jaren groaned. "Or distracting you." While this happened, he pulled up a security feed, a shadowy figure accessing restricted systems during the meeting. Leora's stomach dropped. Someone's playing both sides. A knock. Dravik's voice, low, through the door. "Captain. We need to talk. Alone." Jaren tensed. Leora exhaled. "Let him in." The door slid open. Dravik's gaze locked onto hers. "The Velthor," he said quietly. "It wasn't just a test. It reacts to those with compatible biologies." Leora's pulse spiked. "Meaning?" His claws flexed. "Meaning someone doesn't want us to realize how alike we truly are." Lieutenant Jaren Kess's fingers flew across the holodisplay, pulling up strands of corrupted data like a surgeon extracting shrapnel. The Horizon systems had been compromised, not by brute force, but by something far more dangerous, patience. "Whoever did this has been inside our networks for months," Jaren muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. The air in the tech hub smelled of overheated circuits and stale coffee. They left false trails pointing at the Arcturians, but the encryption signature, it's all wrong. Across the room, Captain Leora Vex crossed her arms. "Wrong how?" Jaren rotated a string of code. Arcturian algorithms use quantum fractals. This? It's human, military grade, but with a Nexus armaments watermark buried under 12 layers of junk data. Leora's stomach tightened. Nexus. The largest weapons contractor in the system, with shareholders on both sides of the conflict. Of course. A chime at the door. Sub-Commander Silas Vex entered without waiting for permission, his clawed hands clenched. Your people, he spat, are trespassing in our data core. Jaren stiffened. We're not the ones. Prove it. Silas tossed a crystal chip onto the console. It projected a hologram, shadowy figures in human fatigues skulking near the Arcturian ship's docking umbilical. Leora leaned in. The timestamp was from 20 minutes ago. This is staged. Look at the insignia, those uniforms were phased out last year. Silas's pupils slithered to thin lines. Convenient. The door hissed open again. Commander Dravik's soul stepped through, his silver-flecked skin dull with exhaustion. Enough. He glanced at the hologram and sighed. This is what they want. Us, snarling at shadows while the real threat slips by. Jaren cleared his throat. I might have a way to trace them. The saboteurs are using a relay in the Proxima system to bounce signals. If I piggyback a tracker on the next transmission. No. Silas rounded on Dravik. You trust these vermin too easily. First the Velthor, now our systems. They poisoned you. Dravik went very still. Explain. Silas produced a medical scanner. Your blood work. The human-compatible enzymes are not natural. They engineered this. Leora's breath caught. The Velthor reaction, Dravik had said it revealed biological compatibility. Was that even possible? Dravik studied the scanner, then, laughed, a deep, resonant sound that made the lights flicker. Silas. You've been had. He tapped the display. These engineered markers. They're Arcturian, from the Velshar gene therapies our explorers used centuries ago. The humans didn't alter me. Our ancestors did. Silence. Jaren whistled. So you're saying that we might share literal blood? Dravik met Leora's gaze. Which makes the sabotage even more urgent to expose. A proximity alarm blared. Jaren swore, pulling up a feed. Unauthorized shuttle launch from Bay 4. The screen showed a craft streaking toward the horizon's warp core. Suicide trajectory. Leora slapped the comm, all hands, brace for. The explosion never came. The shuttle veered at the last second, docking instead. A message flashed on screen. See you soon. Nexus. Silas's claws unsheathed. A taunt. Dravik grabbed Leora's arm. They're not just sabotaging the talks. They're hurting us. Into what? His silver flex pulsed. A war. Dr. Mira Holst adjusted her scanner, the device whirring as it mapped Commander Dravik's soul's unusual biochemistry. The private medbay aboard the UWS Horizon hummed with tension, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and something faintly metallic, Arcturian blood, she realized. Fascinating, Mira murmured, zooming in on the holographic display. Your cellular structure has human-compatible receptors. Not engineered, inherited. Dravik's silver-flecked skin rippled in what might have been amusement. A gift from my ancestors, it seems. Captain Leora Vex leaned against the wall, arms crossed. So the Velthor reaction. Wasn't random. Mira tapped the scan. Your bodies recognized each other on a genetic level. Like long-lost puzzle pieces. Leora's face heated. Dravik's gaze lingered on her, unreadable. A chime at the door. High Scholar Orlan Day, the Arcturian cultural liaison, entered with a datapad clutched in his four-fingered hands. His violet eyes flicked between them. I've analyzed the historical records. The Velshar weren't just explorers, they were exiles. They interbred with early human settlers. Myra's scanner clattered onto the tray. What? That's impossible. Orlan's voice was dry. Yet here we are. He projected an ancient star map. A colony ship vanished near Proxima 3 centuries ago. Our records call it the Silent Exodus. Survivors would have been stranded on Earth. Leora's mind reeled. You're saying some humans are part Arcturian? Not just some. Dravik stood abruptly. You, Captain. Your reaction to the Velther was too strong for a pure human. Silence. Myra's medical scanner beeped a warning. There's another complication. She hesitated. Commander, your blood work shows elevated thixine levels. It's a bonding hormone, Arcturians produce it during. She trailed off. During what? Leora demanded. Mira swallowed. Mating cycles. The room froze. Dravik's claws flexed. That's irrelevant. Our species are biologically incompatible. Are they? Mira pulled up 2 DNA strands. Your genetic markers align too well. If certain, physical lines were crossed, the results could be unpredictable. Leora's stomach dropped. You're saying if we... Enough. Dravik's voice was a blade. This is a distraction. Nexus wants us chasing myths while they plant bombs. Orlan stepped forward. Or they fear what we might become if united. He tapped his data pad. I've traced the sabotage orders to a Nexus subsidiary, Vedara Biotics. They specialize in xenogenetic weapons. Mira paled. They're trying to weaponize the Arcturian human link. Leora's calm buzzed. Jaren's voice crackled through, Captain, we've got a problem. The saboteurs just locked down Deck 12, and they've got hostages. Dravik was already moving. Where? Main reactor. They're demanding our surrender, and Commander Dravik's execution. Leora met Dravik's eyes. A silent understanding passed between them. Tell them they'll have to take us both, she said, drawing her sidearm. The emergency lights bathed Deck 12 in a pulsing crimson glow as Leora pressed herself against the bulkhead, her pulse pounding in her ears. Across the corridor, Dravik crouched low, his silver-flecked skin rippling with tension. The air smelled of scorched wiring and ionized plasma. Someone had overloaded the atmospheric regulators. Hostages are in the reactor control room, Jaren whispered through the comm. 6 Nexus operatives, armed with plasma cutters and, wait, is that a bioweapon canister? Leora's blood turned to ice. Mira, confirm. The doctor's voice was strained. Scans show Vedara's logo on that canister. If they release it in the reactor core, the radiation will mutate it into an airborne plague. Dravik's claws unsheathed with a quiet snick. They don't just want war. They want extinction. A shadow moved at the end of the hall. Leora signaled halt, but Dravik was already lunging. The fight was brutal. Nexus operatives wore reinforced armor, their helmets filtering the toxic air. Dravik tore through two before they could scream, his claws shredding alloy like paper. Leora picked off a third with her sidearm, the plasma round punching through their knee. Traitors, the downed operative spat, blood flecking his visor. You'll drown in fire with the rest of the hybrids. Dravik silenced him with a kick to the temple. Leora pried the bioweapon canister from the last operative's grip. The label made her stomach twist, strain K7X, genetic targeting, Arcturian/human hybrids. They engineered a virus to kill us. A guttural roar echoed behind them. Admiral Rail Torv barreled into the corridor, flanked by human marines. His scarred face twisted in fury. Stand down, Captain. This is a military operation now. Dravik stepped between them. Your military is compromised, Admiral. Nexus owns your superiors. Torv's rifle snapped up. And I suppose your hands are clean, Xeno. Your executor Vera Sol signed the order to glass Mars colony. Leora froze. That wasn't in the briefings. Dravik's pupils narrowed to slits. Vera is no ally of mine. She's Nexus's puppet, just like your Senate. The standoff shattered as the reactor doors hissed open. Executor Vera Sol herself strode out, her crimson skin gleaming under the emergency lights. A dozen Arcturian loyalists flanked her, pulse rifles humming. Enough theatrics, Vera purred. The canister is a distraction. The real weapon is already airborne. She tossed a data chip at Leora's feet. Courtesy of your dear Lieutenant Kess. Jaren's face flashed on the hollow, unconscious, strapped to a med table as amber fluid dripped into his veins. Jaren. Leora lunged, but Vera's guard seized her. Dravik snarled, muscles coiling to attack, until Vera pressed a dagger to Leora's throat. Aha, cousin. One move, and the good captain joins our ancestors. Torv's marines faltered. The admiral's jaw worked silently. He didn't know. Vera smiled. Admiral, you have a choice, die as a pawn, or live as a king. Nexus rewards loyalty. Leora spat in her face. You're butchers. Vera licked the spittle off her lips. No. We're evolution. The lights died. In the blackness, something moved, a whisper of claws on metal, a thud of bodies collapsing. When the emergency glow returned, Vera's guards were down. And Dravik stood alone in a circle of corpses, his claws dripping silver blood. Vera staggered back. How? You forgot, Dravik growled, what happens when Arcturians bond. His silver flecks blazed like stars. We share strength. Leora's veins burned. She felt him, his rage, his resolve, as if it were her own. Then the horizon's alarms wailed. Warp core breach in progress, the AI intoned. All hands, abandon ship. Vera laughed. Too late. The virus is already. A plasma bolt took her between the eyes. Admiral Torv lowered his smoking pistol. I may be a bastard, he muttered, but I'm human first. He tossed Leora a breather mask. Go. Save your lieutenant. Dravik didn't wait. He hauled Leora toward the vents, the only path left. As they crawled through the shuddering ducts, Leora gasped, Did you mean it? The bond. His claws tightened around hers. Run faster. The UWS horizon shuddered like a dying beast as Leora sprinted through the collapsing corridors, Dravik's claws digging into her wrist. Smoke stung her eyes, but the strange new connection between them pulsed like a second heartbeat, guiding her through the chaos. Jaren's life signs are fading. Myra's voice crackled through the calm, Deck 5, Lab 3, but Captain, the virus is mutating in his blood. Dravik wrenched open a service hatch. We need Keeper Ilva. Who? Leora coughed as acrid fumes filled the passage. My people's healer. She understands bond sickness. His silver-flecked skin glowed faintly in the dark. What's happening to us? It's ancient. Sacred. A explosion rocked the deck. They barely avoided falling debris as they stumbled into Lab 3. And froze. Jaren floated in a stasis pod, his veins glowing amber. The virus swirled in his bloodstream like liquid fire. Beside him, Executor Vera's abandoned holopad displayed a countdown. 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Terraforming protocol engaged. Mira slammed her fist on the console. They weaponized the Velshar gene therapy. The virus will rewrite all human DNA to reject Arcturian traits, permanently. Leora's stomach dropped. How many ships have left the horizon? 12. Myra's hands trembled. Enough to spread it to every colony in a week. Dravik snarled, then suddenly doubled over, his claws scraping the floor. His abdomen rippled, silver flecks flaring wildly. Leora grabbed his arm. What's happening? Keeper Ilva emerged from the shadows, her emerald robe shimmering. Life, she murmured, pressing a hand to Dravik's heaving chest. The bond has quickened. Myra's scanner beeped frantically. Captain, he's pregnant. The world tilted. That's impossible. Not for bonded pairs, Ilva corrected. The child formed from both your genetic material when you shared strength. It grows within him, but the virus will kill it. Jaren's pod hissed. The countdown hit 3 minutes. Leora's fingers found Dravik's. His pain echoed through their veins. How do we stop this? Ilva produced a crystalline dagger. The child's blood carries the cure. But to harvest it. Dravik bared his fangs. Do it. No. Leora blocked the blade. There's another way. She turned to Mira. What if we reverse the terraforming protocol? Flood the system with unmutated Velshar genes. Myra's eyes widened. Jaren's blood has the original strain. We could. Captain. A new voice boomed through the calm. Captain Torin Vex, Leora's estranged brother, glared from the screen of a salvage ship docking nearby. We're your evac. And we brought fireworks. A proximity alert blared. The Thermopylae, Torin's battleship, unleashed a volley of EMP torpedoes at the fleeing Nexus vessels. Now or never, sister, Torin growled. Dravik gripped the stasis pod. We go together. Leora didn't hesitate. She slammed the emergency release. And plunged her hand into Jaren's infected blood. Agony. Fire in her veins. Dravik's scream mirrored hers as the bond amplified the pain. But beneath it, something new, a tiny, radiant pulse. Their child. Mira worked frantically, synthesizing an antidote from the mixed blood. Ilva chanted, her hands glowing as she stabilized Dravik's writhing form. With a final, shuddering gasp, the Horizon systems rebooted, clean. The virus neutralized. And in the silence, a sound like chimes, Dravik's abdomen split open in a shimmering cascade of light. A tiny, glowing form tumbled into Ilva's waiting hands, a child with Leora's nose and Dravik's silver-flecked skin. Torin's voice was uncharacteristically soft. Well. That's a first. Dravik collapsed against Leora, exhausted but alive. The infant's cry echoed through the ruined lab, a sound not human, not Arcturian, but both. On the view screen, the surviving Nexus ships imploded as their own virus turned against them. The Thermopylae crew cheered, but Leora only had eyes for the child cradled between her and Dravik. Keeper Ilva smiled. Dawn, she whispered. A fitting name. Dravik's claws brushed Leora's cheek. You realize what this means. Our people will never be the same. Leora kissed him, really kissed him, for the first time. Good. End.